communion is body and soul. I give you my body. It's kind of like just like when you get pregnant, you give your body to give life to another life. And communion is this understanding that from one body, another body is born. And communion is also, I give you my soul. Just like when you pray for someone, you give you give part of your immense soul, your energy, and your chi, your shakti, your life force, your mana, your power, and you give a life force to another life force. And communion is this understanding that from one soul, another soul is born. And it's just like when you give birth to a baby, you don't just give birth to the baby's body, you also give birth to the baby's soul. And when you give birth from your body and from your soul. And that's communion. Communion is not just about the birth of the body, it's also about the birth of the soul. And God is saying, I birthed your body, but I also birthed your soul. And God is saying, from my body I birthed your body. From my soul I birthed your soul. So go ahead and write that in your journal. So God doesn't just birth us. God nourishes us, or God feeds us. So part of God's body is nature, the earth, and God's soul is love. And God says, I feed your body from my body, which is the earth, and I feed your soul from my soul, which is love. So when we eat consecrated bread, or bread with consequences, during communion, we're eating bread that feeds our body with its nourishment and feeds our soul with its love. And eating this bread, your body will live. Eating this bread, your soul will live. And from this consecrated bread, which is the body of Christ, your body is born and your soul is born. And communion is where God shows up as our divine mother or the divine feminine. It's a very motherly thing to breastfeed your children from your own body and to tear your flesh for new life to be born. And communion is, in my opinion, a very feminine act of sacrifice. Now, at the Last Supper, Jesus is teaching all of his male disciples, plus Mary Magdalene, this very feminine ritual of giving life from one body to another body. Life is continued. That's why he takes his body and says that from my body, my life continues into your body. So go ahead and write this in your journal. My body is an extension of God's body. My soul is an extension of God's soul. Now, for 2,000 years, the church has been practicing and remembering this ritual of how one body gives life to another body. They venerate it, they honor it, they call it the Eucharist, the Holy Communion, a sacrament. And what is so beautiful to the church is how Jesus, on his last few days of life, how he chose to spend those days teaching us how to be a woman, how to drink from her cup, how to eat of her body, how to have this intimacy, this understanding that your body is from God's body. and all our bodies are the same. We are one body, one soul. It's a beautiful thing. One body, one soul, body and soul.